Yo, what up guys, MxgicIQ here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to build 3 different types of drift cars, so make sure you guys check the timestamps down below for each one. We got grassroots, street, and competition drifting, so make sure you guys check the timestamps in case you guys want to skip to any of the different styles. Most tune setups are rather similar, but there are key differences that make the cars fit each of the styles, so make sure you guys stay tuned, watch the whole video if you'd like to, or skip to what you prefer. Enjoy. Yo, what up you guys, MxgicIQ here, and today we're going to be teaching you guys how to build a drift car. We're going to be building 3 different types of drift cars today. One's going to be a grassroots, very low power build, a lot of fun. I really like those builds, not really costing a lot of money either, so if you guys are just starting out, this is going to be something you guys can almost instantly get in and use immediately. So we're going to build the 180SX for that today, and then we're going to also be doing a street build slash, mid-range build, I guess you could say, more of like a street purpose-built drift car, and that's going to be also in the same class as our next build, which is going to be the competition build. Those 2 builds are going to be in C4. The grassroots build is going to probably be somewhere in C2 to C3. So let's get all these builds together, man, and let's go. For the competition build, we're going to be using a GR86, which is a very popular chassis to use in competition drifting today. I think the 86 chassis is just so nice to use for competitions, and it's also nice to drive. It's very quick to transition, it's lightweight, and you can put anything in it pretty much. And then for the street build, we're going to use something probably along the lines of, let's go with an E36, something that's very easy to build. We could go with a 350Z as well, but you know what, we already done an E36 drift build on the channel. Let's do a 350Z, one of the easiest cars to build, I think, IRL to get into drifting. It's one of the first cars people start out with, and very easy to get into as well. So let's build those 3 cars, man, starting out with the 180SX for grassroots C2 style drifting. And I'm going to explain to you guys what I'm doing today, so if you guys do skip around, you might miss some things, and if you guys have any questions, I'm going to try my best to cover everything. So make sure you guys don't really skip around and try and lock in and pay attention, okay? So for grassroots, like I said, we're doing the 180SX, or in this game it's called the S18. Okay, what we're gonna do right now immediately, I like to personally go customize the car and put on whatever body kit we're gonna put on it. I'm gonna do some very light customizing on this one, just OEM plus stuff here, because we are gonna have to fit the stance to the kit. So when we tune the stance and tune the suspension, we're going to have to fit that to whatever wide body or whatever you choose to go with, okay? So long story short here, we're going to be using the OEM fenders though, but I am going to look at what other options are possible, see if we have something that might not look too crazy. We already have a Salady built for a grassroots build, but I think I'm just going to honestly stick with the stock body, man. I actually like, ooh, let's do a good pig nose on there as well. That looks nice. If you guys know, back in the day, we did a 90s video for drifting, and it was a ton of fun. We released a reshade filter with it, and we built all grassroots drift builds, so everybody was in C2. And back then, there was even a little bit more grip than there is now. So believe it or not, we were even more gripped up than it is now with low power, and it was a ton of fun still back then. So I hope you guys enjoy it as well, and I think I'm pretty much good already with the customization we're doing. Alrighty, so before we even go to the tuning shop, first thing we're going to do is throw on some street tires, and then we're going to go straight over to the gas station and throw some sport gas in this thing. Now, again, this is a grassroots build, but this alone is going to give you a little bit more power, and we want to feel the car out to see what the car really needs. To be honest, to actually drift in this game, there's not much you need. Once you put on the street tire compound, you're going to be pretty low power, and we're almost at the top of C1 class, so we should already be able to get this thing loose. Traffic deleted. And we're going to clutch kick this thing real quick and have no problem sliding it already. So honestly, you guys, it really is just about putting the street tire on and getting some, good gas in there, because already you can see, obviously we don't have as much angle as we'd like, so we're obviously going to spin out there, but this thing does get sideways very easily, so that helps, obviously having more power and more angle, but you could easily complete every event if it were possible in a C2 car. I guarantee it. We're building a lot of points between these corners, so it's just about really honing in that skill and learning how to drift. But I already feel some things that I think might be necessary to actually change in this. I like the brake pressure for left foot braking, so I'm not really too, concerned with that. And as far as the suspension goes, the car feels pretty stable and realistic to what I'd want out of a Grassroots car. I think it just needs, honestly, a little bit of angle, because it does start to actually fight me right around that degree of angle right there. I have to counter steer, so we'll do that and put a little bit more power into it, and this is going to be the basis of what you need to actually get in a lobby and get sliding. 2 upgrades I like to do off rip in any car, whether it's a grip car or a drift car, is I like to go to the ECU and the intake manifold, and you guys can either max out with, you know, coins, or if you guys want to use some coins and some, what's it called, cash, just to keep it balanced, all you want to do is max out your peak RPM, max out your turbine air pressure, and max out your RPM, and just like that, you have more than enough power to slide. Okay, at this point, I like to stay in C2 for my Grassroots street builds, but if you guys want to, you guys could easily go a little bit higher. Okay, now all we're going to do is throw front arms on this thing, and we're just going to give this thing obviously more steering angle. 65 degrees is more than enough. I personally like to run 90 Ackerman because I also play on wheel, and that feels better on wheel. Caster, a little bit higher, but each one of these settings actually has a full description of what you guys can read here, right? So now, caster does have a lot to do with self-steer and makes the car feel better. It does say positive caster increases the car's stability at high speeds, since it helps independently return a wheel to its natural position, which is self-steer. So you guys can increase or lower the caster. It's all up to you. Some people run minimal caster on race builds and a little bit more caster on drift builds. So just for some references for you guys there. Ackerman I like to have really high because I like to do reverse entries, but if you guys want a really easy build where it's almost impossible to spin out, you throw this Ackerman all the way to the left, and I promise you can try and do anything you want to, the car will not spin out. You will still be able to drift, but the car will basically not spin out, like at all. So that's up to you, wherever your skill level is. As you get better and better, you guys can increase your Ackerman level. But if you guys are having problems with cars spinning out, decrease your Ackerman and it will start to feel better, okay, and a lot easier. Now, the camber, pretty much, I base this on grip. I want more grip while the wheel is turned, so I add more camber. And in the rear, the reason you put the camber almost to 0 or negative is if you want more grip in the rear, because it will just stay planted, and as the car compresses, then the tires will start to move out. If your tires in the rear are already negative cambered, then you're not going to have as much grip in the rear. For, you know, a budget build, you don't really need to mess with rear stats, especially when you're low power, because everything is pretty much where you'd want it. Looking at the statistics, especially if you're just on a budget and you're just trying to have a little fun Grassroots build, we really don't need to do anything else here. I like to take away the stabilizers in the rear and just delete those. Don't really need to mess with anything else here, and we're good to go. If you want to adjust ride height, obviously this is a stock build, so I usually wouldn't, but you can just simply drop this to sport. Don't even really need to buy anything else, and that should be good enough. Stiffen it up a little bit as well, giving you even more wheel spin because it will not compress and give you more grip in the rear. Now, one thing I think is necessary to make this not look completely goofy is going to be the ultimate front wheel spacer, and in the rear I'm just going to do a sport spacer back there. In the front we're going to increase this a little bit more, and we're going to just throw our tire pressure to max. And honestly, guys, this car is pretty much ready to go, but if you guys want to, you guys can decrease the grip even more by adding a 205 in the rear, and what that's going to do is give you even less grip in the rear and give you more drift. Very low power. We're in a C2 car right now. Let's go hop in the lobby and see if we can do anything. We haven't really done too much to the motor. We haven't done too much to anything on this car, and we're going to see if we can actually slide it. So let's hop into a lobby. I do want to say it is so nice to see this game fully populated again. Can't wait to hop on stream today actually and drift with you guys, because I'm actually decided that I'm going to do that now. But let's hop into TOS BB Drifts. And I think they're doing the same section that everybody does, this apartment section. This is so awful. I hate that every lobby does this, but unfortunately, this is the only route you're going to get in most open lobbies. If you guys want to drift different stuff, feel free to pull up to my lobbies. I try and drive everything, specifically not this line. So as we initiate here, you guys are going to see we have a lot more power throughout the entire power band because of the intake manifold and ECU setup. We didn't increase anything else, and we have tons of power available to us. All drifting is a balance between power and grip. That's literally what drifting is, balancing the power and grip. And at any level, you can have a car pretty much act very similar to something else you would like. Now, obviously, will this keep up with a C4 competition car that we're going to build in a moment here? No, but you can definitely get doors with this car. Now that I know that third gear is just a tad bit longer than I'd like, all I'd have to do at this point is if I wanted to buy a racing gearbox and adjust that third gear, I could easily do that. Or I can just clutch kick and actually go ahead and get into the power band. And we can easily get on a guy in CS's door right here. So very simple, as you can see here. We're getting doors in a C2 drift car that I spent very little. You guys didn't see that, okay? You guys didn't see that. Oh my god. Yo, this same section, bro, it's not good. Stop driving it. Oh my god. But anyways, like I was saying, C2 drift car, we're getting doors with C6s and C5s just because of the power to grip all day. If that guy wouldn't have brake checked me for some random reason right there, totally fine. We're in the drift train, okay? I'm actually cringing at the fact that I'm drifting the section right now, but everybody does love this section for whatever reason. So if you want to use nitrous even, you guys can use nitrous and have even more speed. You don't really need much power to get sideways and get some doors, man. At least these guys are doing the long version of the section. Like, I would use this myself with having maxed out cars for toge drifting all day. It's just so easy to go up and grab somebody's door. It's all about your steering input, and you guys can see right there, right next to my speedometer, my exact inputs. I'm rolling the stick, so very smooth steering inputs here. Able to get right on the door of other drivers, giving a little bit of left foot brake so he can transition right back on the throttle to get right back on his door. And with very little money and investment, we're outsliding people with maxed out cars. So if you guys want to try this build, go ahead and set it up. But without further ado, let's get into a street style build that's not going to be as focused on gripping up, but actually having a good time and getting some consistent slides. Alrighty, and for our street drift build today, we're going to be using a Z35 as it's already in C2. Okay, honestly, you guys could have probably just used this thing and threw an angle kit on it for the Grassroots build and it would have been totally fine. But today we're going to be using the trumpet for a street build, okay? So we're going to add some power into it. I'm still going to keep it all motor, but we're mainly just going to strip the car of its weight, get it to C3, C4, and then take it into a lobby and tear this thing up, alright? So we're going to head straight to the styling shop. I'm probably going to put maybe a wide body on it, but nothing too aggressive, depending on the options that are available, and we're going to see here. Alright, we're just not even going to put a wide body on it, okay? There's not really any good options there. Alrighty, same upgrades as last time. ECU, max that out. Intake manifold, max that out. Exhaust is the only difference really we're going to do here because it's going to give it a little bit of a more aggressive sound as well. So boom, max those two things out here. We're going to head over to the weight, and I'm just going to do probably max weight reduction on this thing. Slam it to the left, and I think that's all we need to do really. Now for the tires, we're going to be keeping the stock configuration here. We are going to drop the sidewall to a 35 just because I think a 40 doesn't look that great. And then for the suspension, we're going to also purchase front arms and rear arms ultimate, okay? And then we even have prototype arms there we could throw on. Anti-roll bars, not really necessary. Rear anti-roll bars, no stabilizer. Everything else, guys, like, to be honest, outside of the suspension arms, everything else is more or less just a preference your stance. I'm gonna be honest. Like, until you get to competition, none of this other stuff really affects your driving to the point where you're like gonna get really left behind. Obviously, if you want to maximize grip, then you can start doing different setups. I'm gonna throw on not some ultimate, but we're just gonna throw on some elite springs just to mess with those. Dampers, the front, I'm not going to mess with them, but I might actually tune my rear dampers just to soften them up a little bit to get a little bit of grip. But we're already pretty low power, so our grip's already going to be coming from the fact that we don't have much wheel speed with such low power. So now this is how I like to set up my cars. Personally, I like it to be a little bit softer in the rear for spring stiffness, and I raise that ride height so that the car actually has room to compress. And then boom, that looks good right there. Camber, I think that's more than enough in the front. Rear camber, we're going to put this probably right around 1-ish toe. We're going to increase this to 0.5 right there. And when you read toe, wheel toe refers to the angle between the wheel's rotation and the directions of their movement. A positive angle means that the lines along the wheels intersect in the front of the car, and a negative angle means that they intersect behind the car, meaning increasing wheel toe increases stability at high speeds, and reducing it helps the cars enter turn more quickly by increasing responsiveness when the steering wheel is turned, but it can also lead to a loss of stability and reduced acceleration on straightaways. So, increasing the wheel toe increases stability at high speeds. Reducing it helps the cars enter turns. So that's why I decrease it in the front and increase it in the rear. Just personal preference. Completely up to you guys and what you want to do, but this is how I set up most of my cars. Competition cars, usually this just increases to about here. That's the only real difference there. I will say this right now, while tuning setups will help out a little bit, at the end of the day, guys, most of this comes down to driver skill. At the end of the day, my tuning setup, I could throw random numbers on here and still make the car slide. Certain cars do obviously feel better than others with different tuning setups. Sometimes I do have issues and I need to actually tune the car. That is more rare than not, to be honest though, because I literally can just have a car with literally whatever on it, pick up somebody else's drift car and get it to work. The main things I find myself actually adjusting more often than not is actually going to be gearing. Gearing is going to be your most important thing, and actually where your power band is, and I really only adjust other values for stance and looks, and sometimes for a little bit more grip, but most of the time adjusting your transmission is going to be the main key to success, is finding where your power band is and tuning it based on the sections you want to use that car for, and that helps a ton. Also, if you guys want more grip towards the rear, throw more weight towards the rear, try and get it as close to 50-50 as possible. And now what we're going to do is also make sure we have a vicious 60 on there. That's one thing I forgot to mention with the last car. Obviously it was a Grassroots build and I put a welded differential on it, but 100 is going to give you less grip. I personally like to be somewhere around 85 to 93 with my differential, and I always use a vicious 60, so that's going to be up to you guys. We're just going to go ahead and put a sport clutch on here and a racing gearbox just in case we need to adjust the gearing at all, so we'll see in just a moment here. And we're also going to do some engine block for some lower end torque as well. So let's get out and drive this thing. We're only making about 350, which is honestly more than enough power, so we're going to see how this thing feels right now. We haven't even put sport gas in this thing either, and it already feels crazy. It's very, it's actually pretty nice, and it doesn't sound too terrible. I can't believe I'm saying that out loud, but for some reason this trumpet is actually music to my ears. But Alrighty, now we're going to try and find a lobby once again that, oh my god, I mean, they're just all doing this section. I don't really like... Never slid this section. Where's that guy going? Hey, I was just trying to get his door. I don't know where he's going. Oh, and now he's parking up, and now there's somebody with... I didn't want to do this. Why is this in my I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know what's... This guy's like the only person sliding. And now he stopped sliding. Okay, you see what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'm just trying to slide. In every lobby where I'm trying to slide, bro, it's either like the section is the same shit, or it's like we're not sliding. Let's just build a comp car. I think y'all get it. Okay, V8 motors, very good, right? Easy power band, Like, you know you're going to get your power. 2J's also a proven platform, right? IRL. This is probably more on brand here, but I'm going to be honest, SR20s are like some of the better ones that I see people rock. A lot of people have been saying the FK8 motor is good, but I don't know why you'd put a Type R motor in a car to drift for competition stuff, but apparently that's good. Me personally, I'm going to go with probably, I already built a 2J86. I'm going to go with an LS, okay? LS in the 86 here. I'm going to throw our weight distribution off quite a bit, okay? Quite a bit. But what I do like about this choice, I'm not going to lie, is the fact that I don't think I got to upgrade any of the power or anything. It's already making, what, 400 horsepower almost? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure, you know, the power, the intake manifold is slightly adjusted. And then after that, I'm just going to strip this car for weight, okay, until we get to 299, because that is our main goal right now. Go stage 2 body there. Boom, right there, right on the dot. Oh my god, it is 58% to the front. This might not be a great build, but it'll be fun. Regardless, got a lot of weight in the front of this car right now. I mean, holy, like a lot of weight in the front of the car, but it's totally fine. So now what we're gonna do is we're obviously gonna max out everything on suspension. Typically in competition style drifting, cars are going a lot faster, so you might actually need to stop. So it's worth to max out those brakes right there. And then for the tires here, we are going to want a fair bit more grip. 19s would look weird on this thing, so I think I'm going to go with some 285 30 18s on this thing. I think that's more than big enough here. And then we're going to also run some 265s on the front, 30 sidewall on both, crease that to 35 35, and then we're also going to buy the ultimate spacers. I already went against one of my rules, which was going to the other shop, the styling shop, and putting the wide body on before tuning. So I'm gonna go fix that problem real quick. Alright, we put a little competition, a little build together on this thing. Obviously, visually, we got the hydro e-brake in there, sequential. We got the bucket seats, you know, good wide body on it, some nice meaty wheels here, looking good. Only thing I've done so far is adjust the tire pressure and the stance a little bit before we go ahead and head into the suspension here. And I'm obviously going to raise the front. I do this thing called a battle stance with my competition cars. Looks pretty cool. It's just how I prefer to run my cars, rather aggressive. So we've raised the front and then we raise the rear, but that's just to be able to drop the stiffness as low as possible. So we'll max out ride height, minimum stiffness there. Might even run a little bit stiffer, maybe like that much. Right here, camber, we're gonna throw this as close to positive as we can, probably like 0.5, 0.6 right there, so that when it compresses, all the tire touches the tarmac. And then right here, we're gonna throw the wheel toe all the way up to 0.6 positive. Slow bump in the rear, we're gonna make this all pretty soft so it compresses a lot, giving us more grip. And this is just how I prefer to build my drift cars, guys. This is not the say-all, be-all. One thing about drifting is, at the end of the day, it's all personal preference. Every driver has their own, you know, personal feel that they prefer. These are just how I build my drift cars. You know, soft in the rear, stiff in the front. Nothing really is going to change. Rule of thumb here is all going to be the same, honestly, between all of my builds, whether it's, you know, Grassroots or not. Just a tad bit more angle, camber on this one. Just a little bit more camber. And, yep, that's pretty good right there, to be honest with you. Stiffness on the anti-roll bars, we're going to throw that to like 50. And then we're going to make it a little bit more stiff in the front here as well for the suspension. And that's pretty good, man. I'm going to pull the rear wheels in just a tad. So they have space, and then we're going to throw the camber over a little bit more towards positive. Actually, we're going to throw at positive 0.3. I think that looks pretty good. Center of mass. So if this is too high, this may increase acceleration, but it will also cause the car to wobble and reduce stability. So personally, I'm going to put this like right here at 17. That's up to you to adjust. And then for the drivetrain, we're going to be putting on the Vicious 60 here, and we're going to lower the differential locking to like 73. More grip, obviously, here. Clutch, we're going to do an elite clutch, or ultimate clutch. And then for the gearbox, I don't know what we're going to have to do to this thing, but I'm going to put on the same transmission tune I kind of put on all my cars. And then also the most important thing here is that we put the drivetrain loss over as far as possible. First gear, I'm going to very much so shorten that up. And then that should be good right about there. Third gear, bring it down a tad. Might even be able to bring this down that much. Final drive, extend it a tad bit. Bring everything over. Bring this all the way over. That should be pretty good, honestly. It's hard for me to explain. Hopefully this actually helps you guys. It's really hard for me to explain everything I'm doing when I've done it so many times. It's hard to explain like why or what I'm doing. Just once you find something that works, you just kind of keep doing it. All of my setups are very similar, and I make minor adjustments depending on the power band. That's really it. Suspension is kind of the same across the board. And in other games like AC, I usually just grab the car and drive. I don't really like tune in AC that much. Car feels pretty good. The only thing I think that could be a little bit better in this car would be that I wish there was more weight over the rear wheels, because it is causing it to feel a little bit, you know, less quick. But we are on a street tire here, depending on who you ask. I mean, I like to run my competition builds on Street Plus tires, even sport tires if I could, but a lot of people run street tires, so it's completely up to you. And this is the comp layout that I want to do. Seems like we're actually getting a decent amount of traction, so if you guys want me to do that comp, I think we're going to get it done. Once Xbox has gotten a little bit more time to get acquainted with the game and everything, I think it could be a ton of fun. Might even be able to run that this weekend, so let me know if you guys are into that. We can get that comp done this weekend. I think it'll be a ton of fun. Very nice there, not bad. Let's try and hit the line actually properly this time though, hitting all the clipping points. And I do want the comp to be on Street Plus tires, so let's give it a try with some Street Plus tires and see how it feels. Way better. Really do love Street Plus tires. I know a lot of people are kind of stuck in the ways of the street tire, but the Street Plus tire just allows you to have so much more grip. Honestly, just with the same smoothness. It's very nice, very easy to hit every single clip, as you can see here. I'm hitting every single point that I want our drivers to hit in the competition, so very nice build. Very quick to put together too. Not really fine-tuning this one. Haven't done too much really to it. The power band feels great. Not really much I would do to the transmission. It's honestly perfect for this section, and I'd highly recommend it. Let's just go do one more run on the old comp section, and then I think we should be able to call it a day. This one's going to be a lot more tailored to high-speed drifting, so there's going to be a lot of outer zones that you have to fill at rather high speeds. So there's not much room for error. Let's see how the car performs. Not bad, but I think I need to clean it up a decent amount now that I know my actual attack line for this. So instead of making cars get used to my style of drifting, I usually adapt to the car. So I can tell this is a tad bit different than my preferred cars for this line, which would be my Mark II, which you guys saw the tune for actually a couple days ago, and then my E36. So let's try and actually get adjusted to the car rather than just adjusting the car to our line, I guess you can say. So we're going to go into fourth gear instead here, and we should be able to fill this whole zone. Yep. So that was the difference. We were in third gear the first time, shift down to third gear here. Only thing I would say is if I was running a comp in this car for this section, as you can see, the gearing isn't very set up for this. So what I would probably do is off rip, I would shorten fourth and actually shorten third as well. The reason for that is when I downshift going into the snap left and right back, I would actually want to downshift there to grip up, use that lower wheel speed in that gear to get more grip, and then shift back up to fourth on the exit of the second outer zone, just because I think that would feel better. So I feel like I could still get the job done. I feel confident enough that if somebody were to host a comp, I could take this in there and do rather okay. I probably wouldn't prefer it on a high-speed section like this, and maybe a motor swap would be made here. Probably switch to something like a 2J for optimal feel, as spoken of before, but this feels definitely good enough. On lower speed sections though, I think I would actually prefer the LS. Alrighty guys, I hope I was able to help you guys learn how to set up a drift car today. I will say one thing though, while all the build setups I showed you guys today work really well and they're all very decent, at the end of the day, each car you set up will have to be tuned to your own personal preference. What I will say though is if you tune a car first for looks and then try and tune it for function, it's not going to perform as well. If your car is slammed with a bunch of camber, you're not going to have as much grip. You might not be able to keep up with people. I personally like to build my cars to be able to keep up with guys drifting very fast and aggressive Japanese style of driving in the C4 classes, or those guys doing the stance stuff and going real slow. I like to be able to drift with everybody and make everybody feel included and grab everybody's door. So that's completely up to you guys on how you guys like to tune. I prefer balanced driving and balanced tuning, and that's what I've showed you guys today. So I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been MxgicIQ. I'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys want how to build a grip car, I need to still do some more learning, but maybe somebody like Blue can come in and help me on a video, or Dodgy Rex, or we can also ask Simg to come help us out as well. That could be fun. So make sure you guys leave a like. Let me know what you guys want to see next, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.